Hey guys, in this video we're going to just have a bit of a run through of our van, our Network RV off-road terrain Tuff van, of what improvements we'd make if we bought the van again or if we ordered the van again. So we've got a bit of a list that we've gone through now since living in it for about 4 months of what we would have preferred to have got if we bought it again. So just hang with us and we'll go through this list. So one of the things that we didn't realise would happen is the TV arm. So we've pretty much got a TV that swings out, and that's about as far as it goes. That's this full extension, and you just can't wrap it around too much. So it's a bit annoying if you're actually trying to sit on the couch and watch TV. But I'm pretty sure the main reason for that is because it was meant to be on the other side where Kate is now with the camera. But because... Kate, take it away.
Right. Because we opted to put in the concertina door here, which divides our living space from our bedroom, the TV I think was originally mounted here on this wall, which meant the arm would come out and you could spin the TV around to see it from the lounge area here. But because we've got the concertina mounted here, it means that we, obviously the TV got put there. And then there was no sort of thought to put a longer arm on that television. So I think you can get one where you can get like two extra pieces or so on it, so you could actually bring it out further and swing it around and see it from the living space. Because at the moment the kids, if they want to watch a movie or something, they all have to lay in our bed, and if they're dirty it does my head in. So it'd be nice if they could just sit on the couch and watch it, because we've got the table that goes down, we can turn that into a big couch like bed area. And it'd be much easier for them then to watch the TV in there. So keep that in mind, because a lot of people are opting now to put in this concertina door as well. So if we'd thought about it, we would have made sure that the arm on the television was long enough so as it could reach around and see it in the main living area.
Another thing that we were a bit, not annoyed about, but just because of our family, obviously we've got 5 in the family, so when we have to cook inside, which we do a fair bit of, obviously we cook outside on the Weber, but like if it's bad weather or raining or just not that good, we'll cook in here. But the only bad thing is how small the stove actually is. So it's a 4-burner stove. We've got the 3 gas and 1 electric cooktop. I've just got the kettle on there. So that's the big one there with the gross stains on it. Don't worry about that. But if you try and cook with a normal size fry pan, or when I say normal, our size fry pan for a family of 5, it doesn't really fit on too well. You're sort of half on a burner, half off a burner, half it hangs out. So I think if we did it again, we'd opt to have, or see if you could have, a 3-burner and ditch the electric one. So just have like either a big one at the back, or just have it spread out a bit evenly so you could put bigger cookware on there. So that's just our personal opinion. Obviously, you can obviously get smaller pans and it's all good, but then we'd have to cook twice as much because big family.
And I guess also it's looking in at options of what you can actually put in for cooktop. So we just sort of took it as this is what the cooktop is that comes with the van. But there could be lots of other options out there. Maybe even something that was maybe a 900 instead of a 600, because it doesn't really make all that much difference to the bench top because you have to lift the top anyway to cook with it. The only thing would be that we'd lose some drawer space or something. But anyway, we would have liked to have looked into better options of what we could actually pick for our cooktop, I think, just to make it easier for a large family and cooking, especially with multiple pots on there at a time. It's probably not such a big deal if you're not living in a van full time, because you go on holidays and you generally would use your Weber outside for most of it, or cook on different things. So if you were just going for a week or a weekend or something, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But because we're in it full time, we have to go through rain, hail and shine in the van. We do find sometimes that, well, quite often we're cooking inside. So, and bugs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
When you're living in full time, you're not just going to put up with that every night. So yeah, we would have liked to seen what other options there were, I think, with the cooktops.
Absolutely.
And pick something that was more suited to us, or suited to travelling full time as a family. Alright, so another thing for me is I kind of wish that we had gone with the front loader washing machine. Again, because we are a big family, we're travelling full time, We do use our washing machine a lot. That's a bit of a hint, because a lot of people ask, do we really need a washing machine, blah, blah, blah. But we find that for those times where we're in a caravan park for a few days, and you do that as a family, you're not always off-grid. We're a lot of off-grid, but there are those times where we're in a caravan for a few days, and you can just potter through putting cycles through. Saves you a lot of money on using laundromats or using the washing machines at the caravan parks. And when you're homeschooling, you've often got a couple of hours in the morning that you can get like 4 loads through. Even though it's a small machine, get 4 loads through. That's, you know, quite a lot of clothes that you would have had to pay to get done anyway. So I would recommend having a washing machine as a family. But anyway, ours is under the bench top here, and as you can see, this is where we keep a lot of our other appliances. So I really wish that I had considered having a front loading washing machine. That way we could easily access it just through the front of the cabinet here, and I'd literally just be able to open this up and I could just access the washing machine here. The other thing even is that I think the van, when it was on display, had a window above the toilet, but when we received it, there was actually no window above the toilet at all. So the other thing I would have thought is perhaps we should have put one of like the mini Daewoos or something actually up on the wall in the bathroom, either at the back wall or behind the toilet there. That might have been another option as well. And do you know what? Something I just saw a couple of days ago scrolling through Facebook is somebody has actually mounted like a toolbox on it was on the back of the Caravan. So it was a full mounted toolbox made out of like your checker plate, and they had one of the mini Daewoos on there. So they'd actually mounted it on the back of the Caravan. And I thought that's an awesome idea as well, because then you've got all this extra space that you can put stuff in. So again, a few more options maybe that we could have considered, but at the very least I wish this was a front loader here instead of a top loader, so as I didn't have to open up this bench top every time that I wanted to put a load of washing on. Just an inconvenience, I guess, more than anything else.
Another thing that we've found, obviously being off-grid a fair bit, is when you're out in the bush or out, you know, in the middle of nowhere, is you do get the bugs, and midgies get through everything. So these come with fly screen. I don't think this is actually midgie proof because they still come through here. So it's quite annoying. You can see a bit of a dead bug in there now. So they do work for the bigger bugs, and that's fine. But midgies, they'll come through there. So I think if you can option for an actual midgie screen, that would be ideal. The other thing as well is that these roof hatches, the mesh that's on there is really big. Like the holes are really quite sizable. So if you've got the roof open, they'll come through there as well. And we found that out the hard way too. So it took us a while to work out where all these midgies were coming from. We thought the kids were just leaving the doors open, but it turns out that the screens aren't really that good. The other one as well is the front door, or the main door. So if we just go through here, it's just security mesh. So when you have it like that, they definitely get through there as well. So that was another thing that we didn't realise. So we'd have, everything's closed up, but they're still coming through there. So that's another thing you've got to be wary of.
And that's like full-size mosquitoes can get through that.
Yeah,
that's really big.
But it's not a midgie screen. It's no fault of it. It's the fact that it's a security screen. But maybe just get a midgie screen put in there as well, because obviously if you're off-grid, you want to sort of keep a bit of air through the Caravan. You don't want it all locked up, because then when you go to bed, it's stinking hot. So that's one annoyance. While we're on the door, another tip that I've come up with is with this blind. This came with it. All good, love this blind. The only bad thing is that it's got not in any track, so it bangs and clangs around, and it's so annoying when doors are opening, closing, or anything like that, or there's a breeze coming through here. You'll just hear this all night. So what I've done is I've pretty much just down here, just gone to Bunnings, got a few of these little stick-on clamp rings, we'll call them, and I pretty just made it one on either side. I lock them in there, and then put a little bit of tension on and it holds it in tight. You can open and close it, and it doesn't bounce around. Just little things that annoyed me, so I had to get that sorted, because it was really quite annoying. But it's not really it's just more of a tip. So another feature that we got added extra was this table that is the go every single which way you want table. The only issue that I've found and Kate's found as well is how high it goes. So we feel like it could go an extra, maybe 100 mil to 200 mil higher, because when you actually slit your legs in, you're knocking on them all the time. You hit across here. Trying to get up my skirt. So I think if it could go tiny bit higher, I know it doesn't look like it now, but when you've got 5 of us sitting in here, it's quite a bit of a squeeze. But if it just that tiny bit higher, that would be so much easier. And I think you can actually get extensions that you can bolt onto the bottom of these tables that bump them up another bit. So just something to think about, especially if you've got massive tree trunk legs like mine. Don't skip leg day. So yeah.
It's the extra cabling and everything that's under there, all these extra braces and things. So if you just had a normal one, you'd just have sort of this part here of the table bolted to the permanent leg. So it's this extra frame and everything that you've got on there that hangs down, and that's what catches your legs. So yeah, I think there's just like a little spacer that can go down here somewhere, and that'll just lift that table up a little bit higher.
Another improvement I'd make if I had it again would be to install a DC-DC charger inside the van. This doesn't come with a DC-DC charger or anything like that. It's just got the AGMs and the solar controller. So if you don't have one in the car, obviously you need to get one, or our one is underneath the bonnet, so it's a long way back to these batteries, so you have a fair bit of voltage drop unless you're running like welder size cables, like really thick cables. So I think ideally it'd be good to have a DC charger built in when you do your system. And the other thing as well, if you can do it, would be to go to lithium, because obviously that's a much better option than AGM batteries. We've got a lithium in the cruiser and it runs really good. So I'm sort of, I don't know, we didn't like it at the time because it wasn't an option, or it was an option, but we just felt it wasn't viable at the time. But in hindsight, we would have preferred to have run lithium batteries in this. So on the outside of the van, there's a few things that we wouldn't have mind changing, or even just thoughts maybe about could have been positioned a bit better. So one thing for me is the batteries. I mean, they're sitting outside here right down low to the ground. You can see they've already copped a fair bit of flogging from all the road rubble and rocks and things that fly up. We, touch wood, haven't done any damage to them yet, but I know, I just feel being an off-road van, they should be protected a bit more, whether it's inside under the bed or something like that. I mean, there's nothing, like I say, there's nothing wrong with them at the moment, but I just feel maybe they probably could be in a better spot. But time will tell. While we're out here as well, the other thing, I've touched on this with our outside tour, but this hot water system, we've collected it, we've hit it on a tree and wiped off one of the covers and things like that. So I've had to replace this. It's just with an ant cap from Bunnings you put on stumps for a house, so that's that. And then I've just added this bit of angle stripping here to protect it so things aren't going to hit it. I think all these hot water systems are like that. You see them on all these vans and they're all exposed. So when you're driving along as well, like all the dust and stuff's going in there, so I don't know whether it'd be worthwhile getting some sort of cover made up or something like that so it actually protects it and seals it a bit better. I know the smaller systems on some of the off-road camper trailers have got like a little cover that goes over to seal it, so then when you pull up to site or whatever like that, you've got to take that off before you turn the hot water system on. So I think maybe something like that may be beneficial, and it might protect it a bit more. Another addition I wouldn't have minded adding would be to have some front lights and rear lights as well on the van. Often, if you, like we are now, we're still connected. We're at a campsite and we're only going to be here for one night, so I don't want to disconnect or anything like that. But it'd just be good to have it so you can see what you're doing at the front if you're trying to get something out of the car, or even at the back of the van if you're trying to, I don't know, work with something that's on the back. Another thing we've found as well, if you come along here, is these lights that are on the outside of the van, they're just white lights. So I think if you can opt to get the amber and white lights would be ideal. Well, once again, out in the bush, you get all the midges, insects, bugs, all that sort of stuff. They love these lights. So if you had the option to go amber lights as well, that would be good, or even just amber lights altogether, because they absolutely love these lights. I actually just get a normal torch and I just hang it off the back and turn it on and leave these off to try and just get the bugs to go away from where we're eating and things like that. So definitely a nice addition if you can do it. The other addition that we thought of having is another one of these fold down tables. So we love using this fold down table, and we figure if you could probably maybe even put another one over underneath the window, or if you don't have a three-way fridge, I don't think you're meant to have this vent here anyway, so I think you can put two of these two of these tables here if you didn't have that vent there. Another addition I'd put out here would be a TV bracket. We've got all the accessories to run a TV. You've got the power, you've got the aerial, things like that, and you've got 240 here as well if you need it, but there's nowhere to actually mount your TV. The only other option is to sit it onto this fold down table, but then that defeats the purpose of having a table where you can't put stuff on there as well. So maybe if you do get or like watching TV outside, we don't usually do it, but the one time that we did, we had to get a stand set up on the table here. So if you could just have a little bracket here that you can slot your TV in, make it so much easier. Another thing I'd change would be the tyres and the rims. So these are only 15-inch rims, and I think they're only 6 inches wide, which really limits the size of the tyre that you can put on this. We've recently just changed all our tyres out to a set of Bridgestone Jeweler mud terrains, and this is the biggest size we could go on this rim, and they're not very big. So I think they're about a 28 to 29 inch rim, and for me, I feel that we probably should have gone up a few sizes, whether you could get, I think you can opt for 16-inch rims, and then that way you could probably go to say a 31 or 32-inch tyre, depending on how much clearance you've got inside here. It just sort of brings the van down a fair bit, and for being an off-road van, I feel that we probably should have done that, because the clearance being so long as well, there's a fair bit of, ground clearance issues as you're coming back towards the midline of the van. So if I did it again, I'd definitely get the bigger tyres and bigger rims. Right, still on the ground level here, another one I'd do would be probably not to get a double step. So we opted for the double step, having small children and figuring it'd be easier for them to get in and out of the van. We're actually on a bit of a slope here, so it's not usually this close to the ground. Usually it's still got half a foot to step up to here. But we've wiped it out a few times on 4-drive tracks and things like that, so I'd definitely recommend just keeping the single step, and if you have to, just get one of those little portable steps to fold out every time you pull up to site, because it's a bit annoying that it's been busted. We've had to panel beat it straight a few times, so that's something that we'll probably change out soon for either a single step or just replace it once we've finished travelling around. So there you go, that's a few things that we've put together that we've thought of over the 4 months that we've travelled full time in this van, of things that we'd just change or do a little bit differently if we bought a van again, or built a van again, I suppose. Yeah, there's probably other things that we don't really thought of, but those things are the sort of stuff that stands out the most, I guess. Yeah. And admittedly, when we bought the van and started building it, we'd never lived in a van full time, so you don't think of these things. You go, oh yeah, everything looks all pretty and all cool, until you actually live in it for a bit, and then you go, oh, I wish we'd done that, wish we'd done this. So yeah. Anyway, so hopefully this video's helped out a bit with those that are looking at buying a van, or like even one of these vans or any other sort of van. Just things that you could do to make the van a little bit more easy to live in. Just things that you probably wouldn't consider until you've lived in it, I guess. Yeah. So if you've got any comments or questions, just make sure to leave them down below, and we'll try and get back to you when we can. And if there's anything else you want any videos on, just sing out. We're always happy to make another video, trying to highlight a few things, help it easier, make it easy for other people. Yeah, cool. So thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next one. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, thanks for all your support. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Smooch your kissing.